One thing we learn about in school is drugs. We learn about the different types, how they make you feel, how they affect your mind and body, how they get into your brain. What we don't talk about is how some people take drug use to a whole nother level. We don't talk about drug abuse. We don't talk about drug addiction. We don't talk about how people get addicted and what to do if they get addicted, and what to do if you really want to stop doing drugs. So that's essentially what I wanted to talk about in this discussion. Now, what do I mean by taking drug use too far? I mean two things: drug abuse and drug addiction. But we'll start with abuse. What is it? Basically, drug abuse, it's kind of a step up from recreational use of illegal drugs. It becomes a habit. You start doing it more often, and the sad part about drug abuse is that it can become an addiction. It technically starts a bunch of different ways, including self-medication. Some kids use it because they're depressed or anxious or something like that, or just because some friends told you to and you thought it would be a good idea, and then you liked it a little too much. Think of those kids in high school that you saw that were always high. It could be on anything, but those are the drug abusers. Now, the thing about abusing drugs is it does tend to become an addiction, but that's if you keep it up for a prolonged period of time. Addiction is technically defined as a physical or psychological dependence on a drug, especially a narcotic. These are people you can find prostituting themselves out on the street for drug money, or in a sketchy kind of alleyway begging for drug money. It's not something you mess around with, and it can lead to a lot of negative things. Drugs that are typically abused and are a main source of addiction are narcotics. In order for a drug to be considered a narcotic, it has to do two things. That is, put you to sleep and kill pain. So, a couple examples of narcotics are opioids, barbiturates, benzodiazepines, heroin, morphine, codeine, Vicodin, oxycodone, just to name some. You've probably heard about a bunch of these, which is good, but what you haven't heard of is how really addictive they can be. They act as agonists, so your brain has natural neurotransmitter receptors that are related to like pleasure pathways and things that give you feelings of pleasure. These drugs, as agonists, they bind to the receptors and they act like the neurotransmitter that naturally occurs in your body, giving you that feeling of being high. Sometimes the body gets so used to it that it feels like it needs it in its system. So what you get from that is a habit that's hard to kick, and a person that's willing to do anything to get this drug in their body. We're able to spot an addiction using some warning signs. A very important sign is a tolerance. If they build up tolerance, they're most likely getting addicted. That means their body got used to it, and they may need more to actually get the high that they want. Another one is they use the drug to stop feelings of withdrawal. This could be physical or psychological. And by that I mean it could be nausea, vomiting, sweating, tremors, insomnia, or depression and anxiety on the psychological spectrum. Other signs are the willingness of this person to do anything to get this drug in their body, and loss of control over drug use. They don't enjoy things they used to enjoy, and their life starts to revolve around the drug use. And then one big sign that I think is really important is that they're conscious that this drug is ruining their lives, and it's ruining their relationships and their work and everything like that, but they keep on using it. A good thing, though, is that people who are addicted can get help. They're not alone in their fight, but they have to want to stop. The tricky part about quitting, though, is remaining drug-free. There's tons of programs like support groups, rehabilitation centers, like medical rehabilitation centers, both, or even a halfway house once they actually kick their habit. Support groups are great. They're there for just that, support. People who have been through similar situations, and they can help you work out problems that you have. Medical rehabilitation, people who have serious drug habits and don't think that they can do it on their own cold turkey, they go to these rehabilitation centers to get help. And they're able to take advantage of halfway houses afterwards, where people like them can work to get themselves integrated back into society and into normal life. So as you can see, addiction's not a joke, and in the process of the addiction, people lose everything. Their whole lives can fall apart right in front of them, and even though they're high, like, they don't see it, they don't care, but they'll come to, and they have to make a choice. Luckily, they have all these services that they can take advantage of, and they can start to kick their addiction.